Ex regrets, betrayal, hidden wealth exposed. Let me ask you something before we begin. What would you do if the person who promised loyalty sold your future for comfort, then came back when success finally spoke your name? Would you forgive, or would you let regret teach the lesson? Mark's voice still rang in Anna's ears. You are too small for my dreams, Anna. That sentence did not sound dramatic at the time, it sounded final, permanent. And yet life never truly ends where we think it does. Morning, Anna Williams' marriage collapsed arrived quietly. Lagos traffic murmured outside their surreal apartment. A generator hummed somewhere nearby. The kettle boiled ordinary sounds. In an ordinary home on the verge of destruction, Mark stood. Near the window, already dressed for work, phone in hand, he did not look at her. When he spoke, that alone told her everything. I am tired, he said. Tired of managing life, tired of waiting, tired of explaining you. The words landed slowly, but cut deeply. Anna placed the cup down carefully. Her hands did not shake, but her chest felt hollow. We agreed to build together, she said. We agreed to grow. Mark smiled without warmth. Growth needs money, connections, respect. You are still chasing ideas like a student. Ideas, that was always the word he used. When he wanted to dismiss her, the notebooks she filled late at night, the quiet consultations, the financial research she treated like prayer. He never knew what she was building because he never asked. What Mark wanted was speed, status, the appearance of success, and recently someone else had offered him all three. Her name was Linda Brown, corporate, confident, already living the lifestyle Mark admired. She worked in real estate development, moved in elite circles, and never missed a chance to remind him that he deserved more. By noon, Mark was gone. By evening, the marriage was finished. News traveled fast, faster than truth. Neighbors whispered, friends took sides. Some said Mark had upgraded. Others said Anna was too quiet, too slow, too proud. Her mother cried on the phone. Her younger brother stayed silent. Anna herself said almost nothing. She packed what mattered and left the apartment with her head high, even though every step felt like betrayal pressing against her spine. That night, alone, in a small room in Yaba, she gave herself 10 minutes to fall apart. 10 minutes to remember the flashback she hated the most, the early days, Mark selling recharge cards while she typed reports for small businesses, sharing instant noodles, dreaming without fear, promising never to measure love by money. 10 minutes to remember how love changes when pride enters the room. Then she stood up. She opened her laptop. She pulled out the documents. Mark never cared to read, because what Mark did not know, what no one knew, was that Anna Williams was already standing at the edge of something dangerous. Not loud wealth, not flashy success, but hidden value, patient money, the kind that reshapes power. Dynamics forever, and somewhere in the future, regret was already learning her. Name Anna Williams did not bounce back. There was no sudden strength, no inspirational turning point, no morning where she woke up healed. Healing arrived slowly and painfully. In ways that were hard to explain, she woke each day with pressure in her chest, like something heavy was sitting there refusing to move. The silence in her small Yaba room was loud enough to hurt it, reminded her that the man who once shared her bed now shared laughter with someone else. She replayed Mark's words again and again. You are too small for my dreams. Those words followed her everywhere. Into sleep, into waking, into moments where she stared at nothing and forgot to breathe some. Mornings, she sat on the edge of the bed, unable to stand, because standing meant accepting that her life had split in two, before and after. She felt shame, not because she failed, but because she trusted fully. She remembered the flashback clearly. Mark holding her hands years earlier, promising they would rise together, promising patience, promising loyalty, promising that money would never measure love. Those promises broke something deep inside her, something that did not heal quickly. During the day she worked because work was the only place pain stayed quiet. She focused on numbers because numbers did not abandon you when things became difficult. She continued advising small business owners, listening to their fears and hopes while hiding her own wounds. Some days she returned home and cried without sound, afraid the neighbors would hear and label her weak. She questioned herself constantly. Was loving him a mistake? Was believing in shared growth foolish? Was silence the reason he left? Meanwhile, Mark's life looked louder. Engagement photos with Linda, smiling faces, expensive settings, People praising him for choosing better. Anna saw the images accidentally and felt something collapse, not jealousy but grief. Grief for the woman she used to be, the woman who believed commitment was enough. Nights were the hardest, the city noise faded, and memories sharpened. She remembered their early years when they had nothing, sharing food, talking endlessly about the future, laughing. Freely, she believed those moments were permanent. The trauma was not only that he left, it was that he left believing she was worth less. That kind of wound does not bleed openly. It settles inside. Still, she worked not from ambition but survival. She built quietly because rebuilding herself required structure. She helped traders manage savings. She advised transport operators. She took small equity because she believed shared growth mattered. Some clients trusted her because she listened. Others trusted her because she stayed when things went wrong. One afternoon, she received a call from David Cole, a former client. He spoke carefully, as if afraid of disturbing something fragile. He mentioned an opportunity: urban redevelopment, long-term investment, early entry. Anna listened, but her hands trembled because success scared her. Success meant visibility, and visibility meant judgment. She reviewed the documents slowly. That night she realized something unsettling. One of the companies Mark was approaching for funding had indirect ties to a structure she partly owned. She stared at the screen, feeling fear, not excitement. This was not victory. This was confrontation. Power brings memories back, and Anna was not sure she was ready to face the man who broke her. When he finally learned who she had become, she closed the laptop, whispered, "I survived, you left."
Ow.
But I survived, and cried from the weight of carrying pain alone for so long. Anna Williams did not expect to see Mark again so soon. Life has a way of pulling old wounds open before they are fully healed. It happened on a rainy Tuesday afternoon in Victoria Island. She had gone for a meeting, not as a wife, not as a dreamer, but as a consultant representing one of the quiet entities she helped build. She wore a plain dress, nothing flashy. Her confidence was internal now, not something she displayed. The meeting room smelled of air conditioning and impatient. She was reviewing documents when the door opened and Mark walked in. He stopped mid-step. His face changed, first confusion, then disbelief, then a forced smile. Anna felt her body freeze for half a second. Trauma does that. It reminds you before you can prepare. Mark recovered quickly. "Anna," he said softly, as if saying her name still gave him rights. "You look well." She nodded politely, refusing to offer more. He introduced Linda, who sat beside him, polished, composed, watching carefully. Anna shook her hand calmly, though her chest tightened. This was the man who once said she was too small. The man whose absence nearly broke her. The meeting continued with tense professionalism. Mark talked loudly, selling ideas, exaggerating projections. Anna listened silently, correcting figures when necessary, pointing out risks no one mentioned. Mark noticed. He frowned slightly. He had never seen this version of her. The flashback hit him briefly. Her quiet nights, her notebooks, her patience. He had mocked all of it. The meeting ended without drama, but something had shifted as they stood. Mark lingered. "Anna, can we talk privately?" She hesitated, then agreed. Outside, under the covered walkway, rain fell steadily. The city moved around them, indifferent to their history. "I did not know you worked here," he said. "I did not know you were into this level of finance." Anna looked at him calmly. "I was always into it. You just did not care to notice." His words from years ago returned to her, uninvited, too small for my dreams. She felt the sting again, but steadier now. Mark laughed awkwardly. "You always had potential. I guess I just did not see it." That sentence landed heavier than he realized. Potential was what people say when they regret leaving before results. Anna nodded. "We all see what we want at the time." Linda watched from a distance uneasily. That night, Mark could not sleep. He replayed the meeting, her confidence, her control, the respect people showed her. He began asking questions, quietly investigating names. Structures, investments, patterns emerged slowly, painfully. He realized the truth: Anna had not just survived. She had risen, and she had done it without him, without noise, without begging. Meanwhile, Anna returned home shaken. She locked the door and leaned against it. Memories flooded in. She remembered begging him to listen, pleading for time, believing patience would save them. Seeing him again reopened wounds she thought were sealed, but it also showed her how far she had come. She was no longer asking for approval. She was standing in her truth. Over the next week's Mark's world began to crack. Deals stalled, funding delayed, investors questioned projections, the same structures. Anna, influenced indirectly, slowed his progress. He felt blocked. Confused, frustrated, he complained to Linda, who grew distant, accusing him of being distracted. Truth was, he was distracted by regret. He started sending Anna messages, casual at first, checking in, talking about the past. She responded politely, briefly. Never inviting conversation. One night, he finally typed, "I was wrong about you, I see it now." She stared at the message for a long time. Her heart beat fast, not from hope, but from memory. She remembered the nights she cried quietly, the mornings she could not stand, the years she rebuilt herself piece by piece. This was not an apology. This was realization, and realization comes too late for those who left without respect. Anna typed nothing. She turned off her phone and sat in the dark, breathing slowly, because the past had returned, not to reclaim her, but to remind her she was no longer the woman who waited to be chosen. She was the woman who chose herself. Mark's regret did not arrive dramatically. It crept in quietly, the way doubt enters a confident man's life. When control starts slipping, his meetings grew tense. His partners asked harder questions. Timelines stretched, money hesitated. He noticed how often the same invisible barriers appeared, and for the first time he wondered if success was more than charm and confidence. He thought of Anna more than he wanted to admit. Not the woman he left, but the woman he saw in that meeting, calm, precise, unshaken. Linda noticed the change before he did. She accused him of being distracted, of comparing, of living in the past. Their conversations turned cold, arguments replaced affection. The relationship he chose for advantage began to feel empty. One night after another, failed pitch. Mark sat alone, scrolling through old photos he saw. Anna's face, younger, hopeful, trusting. That was when the weight hit him. He had not just left a marriage. He had dismissed a mind, a partner, a future built slowly and honestly. He began reaching out again. This time not casually, but desperately. Sent long messages, apologizing, explaining, confessing fear. Anna read them quietly. She did not cry. She did not smile. She felt tired. Regret has a way of draining emotion, not awakening it. Flashbacks returned uninvited, her kneeling to beg him to stay, her swallowing pride to ask for patience, her silence when he walked out. Those memories had cost her sleep, peace, confidence. But they had also shaped her strength. She had learned that love without respect is a slow form of loss. Meanwhile, her work expanded quietly, projects matured, returns stabilized. She sat in rooms where decisions were made calmly, not loudly. Her name carried weight, though few knew her face. She still lived simply, not out of fear, but freedom. One evening, Mark showed up unannounced. At her door, she froze when she saw him standing there, looking smaller, older, uncertain. "I needed to see you," he said. Anna did not invite him in. They stood in the hallway where years ago she had watched him leave. "I was wrong," he said finally, his voice cracked slightly. "I chose comfort over character. I chose noise over substance. I did not know what I was throwing away." Anna listened silently. She noticed his hands shaking. She remembered how steady his hands once felt when he promised forever. "I am sorry," he said. "I lost everything meaningful, chasing what looked successful." Silence stretched. Anna felt her chest tighten, but she stayed grounded. "I did not lose anything," she said softly. "I paid for my freedom with pain. You walked away from yours." Mark lowered his head. Tears filled his eyes, but they did not move her. This was not the moment she once prayed for. This was closure arriving late. She stepped back and opened the door slightly, not to invite him in, but to end the conversation. "Hope you heal," she said. That is all. She closed the door, gently. Behind it, Mark collapsed against the wall, realizing regret does not restore what pride destroyed inside. Anna leaned against the door, breathing deeply. She did not feel victory, she felt release. She had faced the past and remained standing for the first time. She slept without replaying old conversations, because healing does not come from being chosen again. It comes from choosing yourself even when regret is knocking. Time passed quietly after Mark left her doorway. No dramatic aftermath, no public confrontation, just space. Space to think, to feel, to finally breathe. Anna returned fully to her work, but something inside her shifted the pain no longer controlled. Her choices had informed them. She moved with clarity now, not fear. One afternoon, she was invited to a closed meeting downtown. A redevelopment consortium, final approvals, final disclosures, final ownership confirmations. She sat at the table listening. As documents were passed around, names, percentages, structures, then it happened. A senior partner cleared his throat and said, "Before we proceed, full transparency is required. Primary controlling interest rests with Williams Holdings. Anna Williams is the majority beneficiary." The room went still. Heads turned slowly. Mark was not there, but his shadow was the truth, was no longer hidden. Anna signed calmly. Her hands did not shake. This was the reveal she had never planned to announce, but had always prepared for. The wealth was not sudden. It was layered, built through years of patience, discipline, trust. It's the kind of wealth that grows quietly while others chase appearances. News traveled as news always does. Mark heard through whispers first. Then confirmation. His chest tightened, not because of money, but because of timing. Everything he chased was now attached to the woman he dismissed. He tried to rationalize. He told himself he would have supported her if he had known, but deep down, he knew the truth. He left because he could not wait, because he did not respect what he could not see. Linda confronted him when she heard. Accusations flew. She asked if he still loved Anna. He said nothing. Silence answered for him. Their relationship ended not in anger but disappointment to people realizing they were built on convenience, not depth. Meanwhile, Anna sat alone that night, processing the weight of it all. Flashbacks came again, but softer now. Mark laughing at her plans. Mark walking away. Mark standing outside her door, regret written across his face. She did not feel pride. She felt sadness for what could have been, and gratitude for what was avoided, because some losses are protection. She thought of the women she advised, the traders she helped, the people who trusted her without knowing the full picture. Her success was never about proving anyone wrong. It was about surviving betrayal without becoming bitter. She remembered nights she cried quietly, mornings she doubted. Her worth moments she almost gave up. That pain built this strength. The next week, Mark sent one final message. "I see everything now. I am proud of you." She read it once, then deleted it. Pride without presence meant nothing. She chose not to respond, because some conversations belonged to the past. Anna began mentoring quietly, sharing her story without names, without blame. She spoke about patience, about trust, about building when no one is watching. She spoke about betrayal without bitterness. She spoke about freedom earned, not given. Her life did not become louder. It became lighter. She moved apartments, not to something extravagant, but peaceful. She laughed more, slept better, loved herself deeper. The trauma did not vanish. It softened. It became part of her story, not the center of it. And in that quiet victory, Anna understood something powerful. Regret teaches lessons only to those who stay behind. Growth belongs to those who keep building, even when abandoned. Williams learned that life does not always reward pain with applause. Sometimes the reward is peace, and peace arrives quietly. She woke up one morning months after everything settled and realized something important. Her chest no longer felt heavy. The stone that once lived there was gone. She lay still, listening to the city wake up, horns, distant voices, the rhythm of Lagos continuing without asking permission for the first time in years. She felt present, not bracing for loss, not replaying old words. She got up, made tea, and stood by the window thinking about how far she had come. Not the money, not the titles, but the survival. Remembered the trauma clearly. The nights she questioned her worth, the mornings she doubted her strength, the moments she almost believed. Mark was right. Those memories no longer controlled her. They reminded her of who she refused to become. Bitter, small, loud for validation, she had chosen dignity when it was hardest. She had chosen patience when it hurt. She had chosen growth when walking away would have been easier. People around her noticed the change. Clients trusted her deeply. Younger women sought her guidance, asking how she stayed steady after betrayal. She never dramatized it. She told the truth softly. Love without respect is not love. Loyalty without patience is fragile, and success built to impress others will always collapse. Eventually, Mark faded from her life completely. No more messages, no updates, no shared circles. She heard once through a mutual contact that He moved cities chasing another opportunity, starting over again. She wished him well genuinely, because carrying resentment felt heavier than letting go. One evening, Anna attended a small gathering, celebrating the completion of a long-term project. She stood among people who valued her mind, not her past. She laughed freely. Someone asked about her journey. She paused, then said simply, "I learned that being underestimated can be a gift. It gives you room to grow unseen." That night as she walked home alone, she felt something close to freedom, not the loud kind, the real kind. The kind that comes when you no longer need anyone to recognize your value. The city lights reflected off wet roads, and she smiled, thinking of the woman she once was, the woman who begged for belief, the woman who stayed quiet while being dismissed. She wished she could reach back in time and tell her, "You survive this. You become stronger. You do not lose yourself."
Ow.
Loving deeply was never the mistake staying where you were not respected. Was she reached her door, unlocked it, and stepped inside a home built on her own terms. No fear, no regret, no unfinished conversations, just calm. She sat down, opened her journal, and wrote one final line: "Some people leave before the harvest because they mistake patience for weakness." She closed the book, turned off the light, and rested. Because the greatest revenge was not success, not wealth, not exposure. It was healing fully and moving forward, untouched by the regret she left behind.